Hello my friends. Today actually I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and make your own open segment jig. Actually this one I did last week, but it was raining so hard that I could not use the audio for the video, so I just put a small clip on Facebook, and remarkably a lot of people liked it, and a lot of people started commenting on it, how I did it. So I decided I'm going to join today's video with last week's time-lapse that I show it being cut, how I made all these slices. But I'm going to show you exactly what I did to achieve this. So I brought it up, brought my live center in, and just grabbed the center point of my circle and put it up against my jaws. Bring my tailstock as far as it will go. So I'm not too tight up against there. Remove it. And mount it. The advantage that I might have over you is that my headstock has a 60 indexing in here, which is pretty true and accurate. So if I just lock in my pin, I can go to a total of 60 indexing. Now if you don't have one, Michael Sanchez showed an easy template, how to make an easy indexing system that you can incorporate into your own, and use that as a tool. Put my faceplate nice and flat, my tool rest nice and flat against my workpiece, and bring it up right to center line of my dot where it's now my tool rest is locked up, my indexing is started. Take a nice sharp pencil. It has to be a sharp pencil because I'll tell you why in a minute. You want a nice sharp pencil so you can make as light of a line as you possibly can. Now, this is over 12 inches, so my tool rest would not be long enough to go all the way through. So you can do it in just half lines, or if yours is smaller and your tool rest will go all the way from end to end, you can do it that way as well. And that way is a good way of doing it, because then you know that the two lines, no matter what, are perfectly parallel, and you don't have to worry about being offset slightly. Make sure that you're coming off perfectly center with this. But like I said, mine's is over 12 inches, so I'm going to have to rely to doing it in halves. But anyway, you take it and you make your first line. Bring it to the next. So here it is. So with 16 segments, what you do is you, on this particular case where I have 60, I would eliminate 3. So leave 1, 2, 3, or do it this way. Leave 1, 1, 2, 3, leave 1. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Anyway, I marked. This one is marked every 2. This one is marked every 3. This one is 20 segments, 20 open segments. This one is 15. I'm going to show you what you can do in the event that you don't have a radial arm saw. Now, I don't have a full-size sled that I can actually show you per se in my case, because what I have is my compound sled, but I will try to inform you as much as I can on how I do it. Okay, so let's assume this is one of these sleds that's made up for my table saw. Okay, I got the runners, so let's say it stays true and it's a good idea. Once you have it lined up, perfect where you want, put a screw right in the middle, and that way, even though it's not going to shift and you got this locked up, you make your sequence cuts and it will rotate exactly on that screw, because you're not going to be cutting all the way through the middle. You only cut halfway, so you can put a stop somewhere where the middle, your blade is not going to carry all the way through. That's what I'm advising to work, and that's the only way you can do it if you have a screw in the middle. If you have a screw in the middle, you have to stop the blade right about this point right here, which you don't need to go any further. You have to do something not to cut into that screw, and use these blocks on the side as secondary, so there isn't much pressure on the screw and it's not going to shift on you, and it will make it easier to always rotate. So I will show you what I did with mine if you have a radial arm saw. Now, in last week's video, what I did is I raised my blade up to only take out 1/4 of an inch from this. I would line this up. Let me see if I can see. I would line my blade up to take off, not take off the line, but be right on the edge of the line. Once I established my line as to the travel of my blade coming up in the center, lined it up on this side, I put a screw in the center. With a screw in the center, I would take my saw. I put also on the radial arm saw, I put a clamp at the stop of how far I wanted to travel. I put a clamp right over here, and that way my saw would come up and hit this, and that's as far as I would travel every time, right about there. So with the blade raised up, I would just first make my edge on one side, get that through so that it would never variate from that, then go to the next one on the same side, on the side that I wanted to keep, and did all of that. Once I got all that done, then I switched to the back side of the curve, and making sure again, never shifting this always stood true, never shifting the center point. Once I got the center point established, that was it. That stood throughout the whole thing. But once I cut the right side of the piece that I wanted to maintain, for instance, okay, cut the right side of it, then when I did all the right side cuts of everyone that I was keeping, and I knew that I was precise on the line, then I would continue my cutting and start doing the the left side curve. Keeping the line again, or just right on the line, and I would do all the rest of those cuts. Then once those are done and you have the slices individually spaced, then I went in and it was a lot easier, but a lot more pulling and cutting, and I cleared up with multiple passes all the way through till I met up with the next cut. And that was the procedure that I used. So each one of these slices is 6 degrees, and I got a perfect match on both sides. So the idea behind this type of a ring is that you put it all together. Now I could put a different type of a ring, a solid stop ring on the top of this, but ideally would be to face this off, and because these pieces aren't exactly the the height that I needed them to be. It's a time-consuming type of segmented turning. It's not something you put up and you do it one day and you're all done. There's a lot of prep, but all this does is it gives you perfect division from each segment, and it puts a stop when you put them in. I don't have any pieces, any wedges. When you put it in, they come up and they lock up, and at that point it gives you a perfect circle set. The next size, you would put it up and it would stop at wherever point it can go up to and can't go any further, and that would give you a perfect circumference. Again, a perfect circle, and that would be ready for the next meter. That's how you would use this. So this is how I did it. Love to see your own version on how you do it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me again on this episode of another shop tool.